Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. With our Holy Day season of remembrance starting in a few weeks, we also need to remember group economics is at the heart of what will make or break Black empowerment. Black people making it our habit and our culture to go to other Black people for what we need, even if it happens to cost a little bit more. Other groups make it a point to buy from only their own, even if the stores belonging to other people is closer, or a little less expensive. They do everything they can to make sure their people don't have to compete in the free market. They do their utmost to make it a closed loop. And when you consider that a dollar touches far more hands within every other group than it does in ours, you see this practice works. For over a decade, I've told you that your wallet is supposed to be a convent. Only the pure of heart can be allowed to enter. Yet when it comes to dealing with Black businesses, our wallet becomes a steel trap. Nobody can get in. I don't want this to turn into some sort of lecture, but why is it that there's disconnect between our claims of wanting to patronize Black businesses and then how little we actually do it? Now, before we go any farther, I think I need to say this is not about who's to blame so much as it is about what needs to be changed. We'll start with Black businesses themselves because that's who bears the greatest burden of responsibility for this, because that's where the actual point of purchase and activity takes place. The very first problem that a lot of Black people complain about where Black businesses are concerned is a lack of courtesy. Now, to be fair, these complaints are largely actually overblown where the Black community is concerned. It's been my experience that Black people tend to judge other Black people on a scale that's far stricter than it is with everybody else, and usually comes from a place of pessimism. Not all the time, but it is true that we tend to be ready to jump on each other just at the drop of a hat, as a reflex. That's something that needs to be gotten under control. Though nonetheless, there is more than a grain of truth to the idea that you go to a number of Black businesses and the service is anything but friendly. Though I have to say, these Black complaints about Black businesses being discourteous might hold a little bit more water if it wasn't for the fact that Black customers will be breaking their necks to go to a non-Black establishment, one that won't be any cleaner, the service won't be any more prompt or courteous, and the people who are working there don't even want them there. In fact, it's these non-Black owned places where Black customers get followed around, assaulted, or even killed. We engage in inappropriate behavior by patronizing businesses who make it excruciatingly clear they don't want us as customers. Oprah Winfrey was crying and mad that some white department store didn't treat her like royalty, but she's not alone. Seems every month or so we see or read about a case where a Black person was discriminated against in a store, and the victim says they want the store to treat them fairly. No other group wants to give their money to a business that does not treat them right. If anything, they want to see that business out of business. With every other group, they want to compete against businesses who they don't like. They figure that if one of them is being treated poorly, then there's probably a lot of them who are too, and that this has created a market gap opportunity that they can exploit. When it comes to the complaints of Black customers complaining about the lack of courtesy at a Black business, that usually comes down to the employees. The employees are oftentimes rude or nonchalant, often appearing to not care about the job that they're supposed to be doing. It's hard to feel like you're getting top service at a place where people are on their cell phones chatting or even eating while they're supposed to be tending to customers. Too many times the employees are lackadaisical about doing their jobs, and the business owner seems to be lackadaisical about making sure that the employees keep up a certain level of professionalism. If you're the one running a business, there's supposed to be a certain level of attention and diligence that you require from those people on the payroll. If you allow your employees to treat Black customers like a chore that they wish they could avoid, or just more work that they have to do, then customers are going to feel like they're not wanted there. Black business owners have to make sure their employees are not continuing the shameful stereotype of Black businesses being a place where the only thing they offer is attitude. If you own a business, you're responsible for all of it. And that responsibility starts with the employees. Look, you know full well who's on your staff, and you know who's perpetually grumpy and who's not. You know who is friendly and who's not. Every business wants new customers, but if a new customer walks in and your employees act like they're not glad to see them, can you really complain when these customers react like they weren't glad to be there? Instead, too many Black business people make excuses for keeping sourpuss employees around. Those people are the face of your company. If there's anyone who you need to make sure is representing your company well, it's them. Yes, Black businesses face a host of hurdles and disadvantages in ways nobody else does. We all get that. But if there's one thing you have no excuse for not being in control of, it's who you choose to work for you. When you have people on the payroll, especially if they've been there a while, you may feel compelled to circle the wagons for them if they get criticized. But black businesses need to understand that friendship stops at the cash register. Those unfriendly employees are precisely what holds black businesses back. I, for one, don't expect a black business to compete on price. I'm willing to pay a little bit more if they compete on quality and service instead. Give superior quality and superior customer service, and people will feel a lot better about paying that superior price. A black business must not be a place where the proprietor is hoping to get by with the bare minimum. While many black business owners understand the necessity for high quality of service and carry it out every day, there is still far too many who don't. To be a professional, you have to learn your craft. That means you have to execute it at a high level. How many black business owners make it a point to master their craft, to take extraordinary pride in their work? Every black person can agree that black people deserve better from the places where we spend our money, and it's up to black business owners to make sure that they're giving the highest level of service and quality. The key to that equation is consistency. When you're charging people for a good or a service, it's not too much for them to expect that the items that you sell or the work that you perform is going to be of the same quality each time that they buy from you. The customer's money will certainly be of the same quality. The dollars that they give you won't be worth 90 cents today and 50 cents tomorrow. Practically all businesses are about solving problems. If somebody has a clogged drain, they call a plumber to solve the problem. If someone's hungry, they go to a grocery store to solve the problem. If they don't feel like cooking the meal for themselves, they go to a restaurant to solve their problem. Their car makes disturbing noises, they go to a mechanic to solve the problem, and etc. That's how customers see the businesses they go to, as places to solve their problems. Now, do you think they want their problem 50% solved or even 90%? Or do they want it 100% solved? People aren't stupid. They know when someone does good work and when they haven't. Another problem black businesses have is advertising. Nobody knows a lot of them are even out there. You want to know why so many rappers run around saying their own names every 5 seconds? They want you to know who they are. I get annoyed as hell, and I know you do too, whenever some Chinese restaurant or Mexican joint puts their flyers on your car. Granted, they're getting the word out, albeit in a way that's thoroughly annoying. Most black businesses, though, don't even do that much. They don't self-promote at all. They seem to have the attitude of, well, this is the black community. People already know who we are. The word's going to get out, or at least it should. Even white businesses, which are far better capitalized and whose community supports them far more consistently, don't depend on luck to get the word out. That doesn't mean you break the bank on radio or TV ads, but it does mean you have to be realistic and rely on something other than mere chance to get your name out there. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to say, well, what about rudeness? You can cover that under courtesy. We're talking about the major points here. When it comes to the disconnect between black businesses, the things that I've named are pretty much the most important points, but there's also another side to the issue that must be addressed. Black businesses must improve how they interact with the black public, and a lot of black customers could also stand to change how they interact with black businesses. First of all, a lot of black people are being dishonest about wanting to patronize black businesses. Normally, when black people say that they want to go to a black business or they like to have a black business in their area, too many times what they actually mean is they don't like how these non-black businesses treat them. They got their noses bent out of joint about being discriminated against or chased around the store or what have you. It's largely a rhetorical protest. A lot of them don't actually want to buy black. They just don't want to be thrown out of the store by these racist establishments. That's not good enough. To strengthen and empower our communities, we're going to have to make sure that the money stays in the community. Now, what can black customers do in order to strengthen these black businesses and get better results? First, let's talk about the money. You get what you pay for. A lot of black people like to demand the cheapest prices possible from a black establishment without realizing these black businesses get their supplies from the exact same places everybody else does. For them to come down on the price means they're going to have to throw out other things, and that usually means quality. For some strange reason, a lot of black people seem to have the idea that market forces stop as soon as you get to a black business, that somehow black businesses are immune to those things. They are not. In fact, they're actually far more sensitive to them than everyone else. And speaking of sensitive, cost is a very sensitive thing for black people due to our being economically deprived. But let's be honest, family. Most of us will pay a hell of a lot more for the same item if it comes from a non-black vendor. We only perceive that they're of higher quality. We do suffer from frequent bouts of their ice is colder. But price isn't the real problem most of the time. You got black folks who'll spend their money at an Asian nail shop which costs more than the black one does. Black people can always find the money for what we want, but we plead poverty for what we need. Another problem on that front is black people who seem to think that they should get the hookup for things. Now, of course, no black person would ever go to a non-black place of business and ask for a hookup. It wouldn't happen, not merely because those people are from a different community, but because we tend to respect their right to make a profit more than we do a black proprietor. Again, when it comes to a black business, we should expect them to compete on service and quality, not on price. Next is how black customers behave in someone's establishment. We've all seen the occasional video of some hood rat or other who goes into a black restaurant and starts twerking or standing on the furniture or otherwise acting a fool. This doesn't happen all the time, but it happens often enough that it's definitely a problem. And what makes it so galling is that these uncultured buffoons think that they're entitled to act that way in a black business, as if a black business is supposed to just allow people to do whatever simply because. As if a black establishment isn't actually a place of business. And when the owner of the restaurant tells them to stop, they take that as their cue to get loud and belligerent. They don't want to pay for whatever good or service they're getting, and they want to act as if the restaurant is the nightclub or something. A lot of black people complain that black businesses treat them disrespectfully. That's a complaint that black businesses could make as well. When it comes to having nice places to spend our money, I've found that the behavior of the customers is actually a bigger factor than the behavior of the business owner. We've all had the experience of being at a store or a restaurant or a shop, and there's someone who thinks that it's okay to use profane language or just to otherwise be loud and obnoxious. Now, when you think of your own experiences with this, was it the business owner who was acting that way, or the customers? You already know, the customers. When you have people who don't respect the place of business or the other customers, it makes it difficult to demand that the business respect them. The root of the problem of all of this is a lack of respect. And this also goes for black businesses as well. Nobody expects this or that restaurant or store to be the Taj Mahal, but what they do expect is friendly professional service in a place that's clean and doesn't look run down. Dr. Claude Anderson said that we have to make it a point to buy black, and he's right. We have to become our own internal power system. What has to happen is that the expectations and the behavior of customers have to be brought into alignment with the quality of goods and services and performances from the businesses. I make it a point to buy black, or at the very least, I don't buy from people who don't buy from black businesses. These janky joints who make it a point to treat black people in a racist manner love to put their flyers on your car or your mailbox. Whenever that happens, I often call them up and tell them not to. But it's not enough for us to refuse to do business with people who refuse to do business with us. We need an alternative. But in order for it to be a viable alternative, that requires business owners who are on point, professional and friendly, and it also requires customers who are willing to understand that the price is the price. Black customers and black businesses are flip sides of the same coin. The person who works at or owns one black business is also a customer at every other place they go to. The way black customers and businesses treat each other is a direct reflection of how black people see themselves. That's what needs to change. So both black business owners and black customers must hold up their respective ends of the bargain. Black customers need to understand that the customer is not always right, although the customer is always the customer. And black businesses need to understand that the greater burden rests on their shoulders since they're the ones where the point of purchase is actually made. Without customers, you don't have a business. So make it a point to be friendly and professional to the customers. If you feel that competing on price puts you at a disadvantage, then learn to compete on service and quality. That means mastering your craft and being courteous and responsive to each and every customer. If black customers should treat their wallets like a convent, then black business owners should treat their establishments like the Vatican. Never treat your business as if it's some sort of side hustle. It is something sacred. It is your mission. It is your piece of the world. Treat it as such. A black business has to be more than just a place where some proprietor receives money. It has to also be a place with a sense of mission and purpose, and that happens to be undergirding our community with the resources, services, and goods that we need. Black businesses and customers have to start taking a no-excuses approach to their respective roles. When that happens, we will finally be in business. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Andrew Lewis, Ken L. Bender, Amir Miller, Stay Positive, and Ronald Scott. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.